Welcome, food travelers. In this episode, we're in Las Vegas in the Bacchanal Buffet, and starting off here, we're sharing our experience for the Brunch Buffet. And at the time of recording, they're open at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the regular brunch, and it was about $130 for two people before tax.
Yeah, Micah, with as many times as we've been to Bacchanal, we've always gone to the dinner buffet. And so this was actually the first time that we've actually been to the brunch buffet, which, as you mentioned, opens at 9 a.m. And one of the things I kind of noticed right away is just kind of how, at least at this time when we went during this visit, it wasn't busy like how we've always experienced, and kind of how I imagined a breakfast buffet here would be. So I'm really curious if this is always the case, where it's a little bit less people during the brunch hours. But if not, then maybe as you may have seen, there's a lot of economic issues, and maybe that has something to do with the kind of the lower attendance than what I thought. But you'll see on later in the video, as we captured kind of the interior of Bacchanal, just how empty the seats were.
Yeah, Simon, definitely noticed that change. I even remember when we showed up, they had a reservation line and a non-reservation line. And usually, especially for dinner time, if you don't have a reservation, you pretty much can't get a table in Bacchanal Buffet because it's so popular. I remember when we showed up, we had a reservation. Now I'm glad we did make a reservation, so you get to go in a little bit earlier. But that other line, it went by really quickly. Pretty much everybody who didn't have a reservation was able to get a table and come in here. I'm also kind of curious if it's because of the price too. I mean, $130 for two people for breakfast buffet, that's pretty expensive in comparison to all the other Las Vegas buffets out there. Even non-Las Vegas buffets, that's quite a lot of money just for brunch. So for that type of price, you do have a lot of items with Bacchanal. There's over 250 plus items listed on their website. I mean, they're not listed, but they do claim that they have 250 items, and they do have 10 stations and or 10 kitchens, 9 chef stations. So there's quite a bit of food that you can get, and as you saw earlier in the walkthrough, there's seafood items too, like with crab and shrimp and even prime rib and everything. That's stuff that you don't normally get unless you go for a dinner buffet. And even for dinner buffets within Las Vegas in general, not that many buffets nowadays have all of those items.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of a catch-22 type of thing, where it's good and bad. You have so many choices, which is awesome, but because you have so many choices, it's also why you're also paying the extra price as well, but also why it's really easy to kind of miss certain foods. And kind of going back, kind of reviewing all the video that we shot of all different foods, there were some items I kind of thought, wow, that was actually there. I didn't remember seeing it, and I didn't, I wanted to. I saw it after reviewing the video footage again, and I was like, oh, I should have ate that. But of course, as you go through, there's so many items that it's really easy to miss a lot of things. But of course, the quality of food is still there. Is really great. The one thing I do really notice, I guess, that kind of they interchange the most is there's a station, and it's generally they usually serve tacos there sometimes, but it has a kind of a turntable that has a grill on it, and that's the one that I noticed is one that get interchanged quite a bit, and they do different things. I remember prior they had Mexican corn. There was another time where they had tacos, which was, I believe, this time, and then that's the one place that kind of really does change. But for the most part, all the other stations, they kind of stay pretty similar to what they kind of serve most of the time.
I kind of disagree with Simon there. I feel like the Asian section in particular is expanded a lot more. I mean, in the walkthrough, you see with the Korean section, they have the Bonchon section now, and then they also have the Korean fried chicken. I did not remember seeing any of those items the last couple of times we came here. There's also a lot of different items that they had in the Asian section that I did not see last time I was here. I'm not sure if that's like brunch specific or maybe they do have it for dinner as well, but those are definitely items I didn't see before. Also, like with all the bread and cereal section, I know that those are definitely brunch items, so I don't expect to see those for dinner time, but there's quite a bit of different type of variety of breads that you can try. I mean, I'm not saying that's something you want to stuff yourself on bread, but I mean, it's nice to see that they made all these different type of breads to eat.
I don't know. Maybe we should stuff ourselves with $65 a piece worth of bread. But going back to the Bonchon, I did notice the station and I saw it there, but there wasn't very much of a selection. I don't know. Maybe we're a little bit spoiled since we do eat Korean foods quite a bit. But there was like 3 or 4 Bonchons. Your classic kimchi. There was some pickled radish that I remember. But other than that, there wasn't like what I'm kind of used to when you go in, and especially some of the Korean barbecue places we've gone to regularly, and you get 10 different bonchons, and so that's probably why it didn't really stick out too much. I did notice it though, but it wasn't something that kind of stuck out there more than what I guess maybe I was hoping if it were to come out more.
And for those viewers who don't know what Bonchon is, it's pretty much just a side dish that you get when you go to a Korean restaurant. Usually it's included with the meal. There are rare occasions that we've been to a few Korean restaurants where they charged you and said that was a additional course for the meal, which I don't understand that part, but it is what that one was.
Yeah, it's an oddity. There was a restaurant we did attend, and we actually have an episode of our visit there. It was also on the Strip, and it's a restaurant called Best Friend, located over at the Park MGM. We'll leave the description in the description box. We'll leave the link for that if you want to see that. But we were really surprised because we went in and we paid for the food at that restaurant, and then the Bonchon was actually charged as extra, which was kind of odd. But we'll leave it at that. But overall, Bacchanal is still really good. There's a reason why it's the #1 buffet in Las Vegas. It's because just the quality of ingredients, the selection, everything. There's a lot there to offer, and especially as tight as the economy has been becoming, it's one of those things where it's still hard to say. I don't want to say it's not worth it, because when you go there, there's just so many different things that you get to try. But at the same time, I do understand, because it is expensive for sure, and you're definitely ponying up a good amount of chunk of change just to go try all these things.
Yeah, definitely. You pretty much pay for what you get, is what people say. So if you're looking for like a more premium experience, looking for something that there's a lot of variety, better quality stuff, this definitely come to Bacchanal, because that's what you're paying for. The service itself is also really, really good. I remember the server that we had, he would come over and ask, oh, do you need more coffee, you need more cream, you need more drinks or whatever that we were having, and he came over with wet wipes and everything too. So those are like little details, but I mean, that makes the experience special too, because a lot of times we go to these buffets and we're looking for like a cracker for the crab, right? Or like wet wipes when you're done eating with your hands, and you're like, well, I want to walk all the way out to the bathroom or somewhere else just and waste all my extra time here. But then the server sees you, and he comes over with a stack of napkins, the wet wipes and everything, and it just changes your whole experience.
Yeah, and Micah, speaking of time, they still do implement that 90 minutes total duration of eating. So it doesn't start from when you buy your ticket. Actually, they starts when you seat and you discuss with your server kind of the things you want to drink and everything, and then they start the clock. But yeah, that 90 minute time is still there. So it is relatively quick. I mean, 90 minutes seems like a long time, but as you go through the buffet and you're searching for things, you actually do end up just kind of using a lot of time kind of searching for certain foods that look really appealing to you. But as you can see here in the video, how empty it was. Of course, this was during open, so it's not quite full, as a whole bunch of people are still kind of coming through. But definitely not like how I'm used to, where even at this time there would be a huge line piled up at the front to go in.
Yeah, it definitely feels a lot more like it was like during the lockdown times where they're spacing people apart and there was not that many people coming in. But even so, I feel like during the lockdown times there was a lot more people than what we saw at this time of visit. And yeah, they still have a lot of items there, and it just feels so airy, so empty.
Yeah, definitely a shock. But there is one thing that I really did like about it being this empty, was that you can pretty much go to any station and grab any food without having to wait. So that was nice, because there are times, especially if you're kind of doing one of those stations where it's order to go, so you kind of have to sit and wait, and then if there's a line, you wait even longer. But in this case, because it was pretty empty, that grabbing whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted, was pretty much available for us.
Yeah, that's definitely a plus, having no lines to wait for items that you really want, especially with that 90-minute limit. It really goes by really quickly, and they do discuss it with you that they're starting a time now, and they write it on that ticket or your receipt number with the actual time, so they know when it started, and there's no cheating or going around that.
And you might have just seen in the video, there was actually a piece of crab that I grabbed, and that was really shocked and surprised, because out of all the times that we've been there, like, there's been no issues with quality. That was the first time I actually saw that there was something kind of off, and that was the crab leg that was, it had the black spots, and there weren't, the meat was kind of not right, and so of course I didn't eat it. But yeah, I wanted to show that, they do make mistakes here and there, but not very often. Still premium in my opinion in terms of the overall buffet.
So what were some of the items that you really enjoyed eating at this buffet, Simon?
A couple things I grabbed, as you saw earlier in the video. I grabbed the churro, and I actually enjoyed that. I probably should have grabbed some more, but I'm not as hungry during the morning as I am during either the afternoons or evenings, and so eating a whole bunch was a little bit more difficult for me during this visit. But I really did enjoy the churros. And there's another drink that I really enjoyed. It was a ube horchata, and it was a combination of two things I really like, which is horchata and ube. And so putting it together, I definitely wanted to try that, and I did. And you saw that earlier in the video on my plate. It was the purple drink, and that was really good. So I enjoyed that very much.
Yeah, so like Simon said, with so many different selections, there are things that you will miss. That was something I also enjoyed, but I did not see it. I didn't ask Simon where it was. Just not enough time when there's so many different choices. But overall, I would come back to Bacchanal. I do highly recommend this one. I think it's a great experience for what you pay for. You pretty much get what you pay for, like I said earlier in the video, and it was just something you should try at least once.
Yeah, definitely, Mike, agreed. Trying this place one time is definitely something you should do. Of course, if you can do it more, then of course that's always better, but yeah, definitely once in your lifetime. And to wrap up the episode is our notables, and for this notable is the ube horchata. Two foods that I really enjoy combined together. It's nice and sweet, but not too sweet, at the same time delicious. Definitely, if you are at Bacchanal and they have this for a selection, do try it. It is very good and you won't be disappointed.
And to support our channel, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for the YouTube algorithm. And for more photos, follow us on Instagram. See you guys on the next episode.